Indeed. Morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I've had the opportunity over the past couple of days to have a read through what might be going on with some of your organisations. So please know this course is based on current good principles for both briefing and submission. But what I've tried to do with the flexible content here is make sure it meets your needs. So I do work with some of your organisations on an in-house basis. So I hope I can be a bit helpful around that as well to make it as specific as possible. As Danica said, this course is designed to try and keep it as interactive as if I were in a room with you. So we will be using breakout rooms. We will be using a combination of me talking to you, you talking to me, and then some individual exercises where you'll be working in smaller groups. It is not a PowerPoint heavy day because otherwise I might just have sent you the PowerPoint slides and said, read that, you'll be much better than with all of that going on. I think I've got about 5 or 7 PowerPoint slides, depending on how we go. So today breaks into 5 parts, really. So very first of all, what we're going to be thinking about is the current environment in which we're writing. So I think lots of you have come from different diverse organisations, but you're going to have common challenges and common practice around things. So we're going to have a think about, actually, how can we set ourselves up to succeed with this process? How can we make sure that we've planned properly? How have we thought about the needs of the reader? And then how have we thought about how they're going to use that information? I want to give you a little model to think about with that. That's one of the PowerPoint slides down, just so that in the future you can go through 3 questions, basically. It's not to add time to the writing process. What that process will do is it will shave about 1/3 of the time off the writing process. So we'll have a look at it because of that. Second thing we're going to have a think about is how we organise information. We can talk about templates and decent headings. I also want to chuck in a little bit of science in case you don't know that stuff around the way that we read when we are accessing information either on a piece of paper or on a screen. So we read, you might well know this, stop me if you do, we read on a screen with a completely different part of the brain than we read when we read on paper, and it affects the way that we process the information. We're worse at proofreading. I don't know if any of you have sent an email over the past couple of years, thought, that's lovely. And then when someone's written back, you've looked back at yours and thought, oh, that looks like that was typed by Gibbon, because you've seen some errors underneath it. We're going to think about where readers read when they do read on the screen, and where they might not read as well. Let me quickly with that, that's lovely. We're then going to think about writing. So we're going to think about briefing first of all. And I've got some real life materials for us to have a look at all the way through today. What I'm going to get you to do is work in smaller groups and produce a piece of briefing. So making sure essential things like, has it got a clear title? Is the purpose really clear? Do we know what the briefing's about, and do we know why we have to read it now? And does it have a good, clear narrative flow? Because it's a one-day course, I'm going to get you to quickly rewrite a piece of briefing that I've written, just to make it sound like a human being writing to another human being, really. I'm going to get you to define 3 levels of information in that briefing and make sure that the reader actually only gets the must know, not all of the stuff that you've done the thinking about, essential, but might not be necessary to pass on to the next person down the line. We're then going to have a go at editing. That will be this afternoon. I'm actually going to save this till a time that you will feel like it least, because, let me just do that 1 second. Thank you. I'm going to get you to edit something, and I want to take you through a technique that I use on a daily basis. I'm going to get you to read 12 pages of letters. I promise they are interesting enough for a Friday afternoon. I'm going to give you an extra 10 minutes over lunch for that. And we're going to summarise those 12 pages into 100 words in 10 minutes. I think lots of the challenges about briefing now is that people have got less time to read stuff. The devices that they're reading on might be smaller. It might not be a computer screen the whole time. They might be accessing something that big. And actually, if we're time poor but information rich, we need to be able to create briefings and submissions that have got value rather than volume to them. We will talk through a separate submissions template. A briefing, of course, is usually where we're passing across information. A submission is where we're asking someone to make a decision. So we're going to need a couple of extra steps in there. The important thing about a submission is that we don't look as if we're forcing the reader down a single path. This is the only way you can do something. We need to produce a document that is impartial, objective, and clearly thought out with a rationale underneath it. So we're going to have a look at that process there. Final stage we're going to go through is reviewing, and I'll tell you about that a bit later on today.